stranger. All I wanted was to be a gangster. And shot call, to be known with them niggas letting shots off. Either that or the right hand to the top dog. Funny how we see vanity, not the lives lost. Can't be focused on a life that's hopeless. Out there pumping, not knowing the Lord will kill you for that hocus pocus. Used to roll with niggas that cook dope with weaponry. Same ones claim they love you, I had no life in jeopardy. And I know my mother wants success for me, but that G should take a girl straight to ecstasy. Remember running with bruh, even though we did the wrong thing. My life would've been a lot different if I fell up under Rob's wing. Was too sincere for a wicked game. Shame the Lord's name, now we afflicted with pain. All I ever wanted was to be respected by stand-up niggas, not knowing that them handcuffs custom made to fit. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time and I was just a stranger. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time and I was just a stranger. All I wanted was to be a gangster. I ain't lying, I was close to dying. Knew I wanted to live, but I wasn't trying. I was defiant, not knowing that this ain't how we live. This just how they design it. Cause when you in them streets, you get more endemic. They don't tell you gon' be on papers and on restrictions. My father said a hard head'll make a soft ass. I didn't care, I wanted fear when I walked past. In a place where a black man's blood is cheap, I thank the Lord for the day I was on Lake Street. Pissing in the cup, back and forth to court. Found the DC school, I swear it felt like I cried on that fucking porch. The Lord said, my sheep, they ain't hear my voice. Asked me why I'm UPK, I told them I ain't have a choice. They said God ain't 50-50 and what's gonna come to pass. The Lord called me out the world and that's not really fair. All I wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time and I was just a stranger. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time and I was just a stranger. Go ahead. All I wanted was to be a gangster. It's UPK until it hit the fam. I want power and a throne, nigga, fuck them grams. All I wanted was to be a gangster, but I was real as a righteous man. And now got the upper hand, gotta promote this brand. Correct whole multitudes until they all understand. If I can't get that crown, Lord, then put me in the hands of someone more mighty, make me this hit man. Reminiscing on the pain that was felt. Shit, I was in the jail, shit, I needed help. But Swan was locked up and the judge put man on the shelf. Had me crying cause it felt like I was left by myself. All I wanted was to impress niggas with my grinding. Now I ain't trying to prove shit to nobody but Muhammad. Cause most these niggas lie and pump smoke. One time for the most high, he made me a cutthroat. Cause all I ever wanted was to smash my opponents. Stacking cash, not knowing it wouldn't last. Then God, I hope you accept my atonement. Cause all I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was a gangster. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time and I was just a stranger. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was a gangster. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time and I was just a stranger. All I wanted was to be a gangster.
If Rome ain't on it, what is it?
Purchase your tracks today.
Know the people been waiting for a minute for something authentic. Came in the truth and bossed in it, made niggas regroup. Had to shed light on the false image. UPK whole court. Now who the fuck won scrimmage? 2 words for soft niggas. What is good riddance? Don't affiliate with feminine symptoms. I know you feel me, nigga. This a death threat to hip hop. You don't stop that weak shit, I'ma mix your lean with some Grimlock. When the last time you heard it this raw? What I wish for's when the earth inherited by the piss poor. We been to war, them the ones I'm taking risks for. Ain't got no pics or no cars to hold. Holy angels watch my steps, them Glock guard my soul. Can't let them leave my body cold. I know you feel me, nigga, let the wicked weep and the meek prevail. God never been 50-50, I shall now awake and sleep a cell. Let the righteous cry, silence the pretender. A rebel without a cause, as long as I remember. Not taking the kingdom, the only thing on my agenda. Can't avoid me, nigga. Middle finger to the ones that try to destroy me. Revenge of beauty, I'm a beast. I told the bitch she can't eat unless she join me for dinner. My God ain't got no regard for a sinner. One call fall on him like timber. I know you feel me, nigga. In the eyes of terror, I stand still. Go to work for the colony, bring it back to the anthill. Plus everything I drop heavy as an anvil. Show you how to stand like a man in this damn field. I know you feel me, nigga. Fuck equality, it gotta be one man win and the rest lose. Wave devastator, I'm calculating my next move. UPK with real niggas seek refuge. Body shots for bars, that'll get you bruised. My niggas whole ranker, check your little attitude. I came to fuck up your mood on your little holiday like I'm Mr. Scrooge. Resurrected from the grave, walking from the fall. Visions in my eyes, gripping the mic, screaming God bless the underdog. Down by the letter, and live by that protocol. Walk by faith, not by sight. Ain't no hope for getting struggles. Life like some war, resist or get pulled into a world that never left you. I will endure. Election will be sure. Correction will be swift. No Will Smith, but I am legend. What else would you call the killer of deception? A leader got soldiers on post in every direction. On gold like a German shepherd. Young and a restless. Wear honor like a diamond necklace. I know you feel me, nigga.
Purchase your tracks today.
If Rome ain't on it, what is it?
6, 1, 3. Strong Deacon. Strong Deacon.
I can do the whole beat like that.
Sakari.
Easy play. Look, this the gospel. This is God's flow. They want my whole team behind bars like the odds show. I'm unapologetic. You get no apologies. No heathen bastards are grafted into this olive tree. My people satisfied with a Coke and McDonald's lunch. Some think it's heaven sent with this President Donald Trump. As soon as he gets in office, I'm praying the market crashes. They use us and abuse us and shoot us for target practice. I went from vandalism straight to evangelism. Lyrics mess with your head like a tumor and aneurysm. And I ain't trying to ball like the Cleveland Cavaliers hooping. I want more attention with Trump and Vladimir Putin. I'm healing the minds and my people call me a therapist. And if you can't get it, you wicked and you a heretic. Take a look at history. Europeans are terrorists. Verily it's a heresy that the Edomites are the Arabics. Now that doctrine's stupider than Lucifer falling from Jupiter. I'm surfing on the beat, call me tubular. Never complacent maneuverer like a Uberer. They say my flow's the bomb like Saddam, cause my shit is nuclear. It don't seem right at green light, so they murder Jake. Cause they know we the angels that fell from my first estate. Elite see us waking up having a nervous.
Shalom. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, out of Harlem, New York, underneath Commander General Yohana. And we are not affiliated or associated with any other Israelite group. Shalom. Tonight's topic, man, Thursday is history class, and we're going to go into some history on the Roman Empire and the siege of Jerusalem. You know, it's a lot of information that us as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians don't know about the Roman Empire and how they came and took over our city and how our empire felt. You know, how our empire fell down to the ground and how it was destroyed and burned and set on fire, and just, you know, it was a horrible thing on what they done to us, man. You know, we're going to go into some history and show you, you know, how they done us, how these so-called Caucasians done us back then, the Roman Empire. You know, because it's a lot of stuff that they don't teach you and tell you about, especially in these churches, man. All right, so I'm going to get this information for you. All right, we're going to start out with a little bit of information. This is on the siege of Jerusalem. All right, and it reads, it says, the siege of Jerusalem in the year 70 CE was the decisive event of the first Jewish-Roman war, in which the Roman army captured the city of Jerusalem and destroyed both the city and its temple. The Roman army, led by the future emperors Titus, with Tiberius Julius Alexander as his second in command, besieged and conquered the city of Jerusalem, which had been in control by Judean rebel factions since 66 CE, following the Jerusalem riots of 66. All right, so, you know, right now this is telling you how the Roman Empire came in the year 70 CE and conquered Jerusalem. You know, this was after the time of our King Christ had been killed, had been murdered. And so, you know, Judea, we were starting to come back to our laws, statutes, and commandments because the prophets Paul, Peter, and them had woke us up by continuing to do what Christ had told us to do. So they held on to this truth, and a lot of us started to wake up. And a lot of us started to rebel against the Roman Empire, no different than what we do now with us being in this truth. We rebel against those laws, and not their laws, but the things that they try to push on us, like the homosexual laws and all of those weird things that go against the laws, statutes, and the Most High. So the same thing we doing here in the ISUPK is what our people were doing back then. They were rebelling against the Roman Empire and their laws and their statutes that they had established with homosexuals, eating unlawful food, worshiping strange gods. We were starting to go against that. And with us going against that, we had a riot in the year 66 CE. I'm gonna see, can I pull it up for you too?
I can read it.
The riots of 66.
The riot of 66.
Kind of Jerusalem riots of 66.
Okay. I can get it here. Jerusalem riot 66.
But it's called the
What you looking for?
Oh no, he was just gonna pull the article, but I got it right here though.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This is another one of the wars that we had in Jerusalem. This was the first Jewish-Roman war, but it wasn't called Jewish. You know what I mean? It was Yasha'Allah, the first Yasha'Allah Roman war, where these Caucasians came into our city, just like how they do all the time. You know, whenever you go against the so-called Caucasians, man, laws and the way how he lives and everything, he likes to come inside and destroy everything, just like he did our Native Indian brothers. When the Native Indians didn't want to fall underneath Christianity and their beliefs, what did they do? They slaughtered them, burned their cities down, killed their children. They did the same thing to the so-called Mexican brothers, the brothers in the Taino lands and the Taino Indians. They did the same thing to them and the same thing to us. I got you. You know what I'm saying? It was no different. And so, but just like all the time, you have some mighty men who stand up and rebel against that. So one of those wars they had was called the First Jewish-Roman War. All right? And it says this right here. Sometimes called the Great Jewish Revolt. The Jewish War was the first of three major rebellions by the Jews against the Roman Empire, fought in Roman-controlled Judea, resulting in the destruction of the Jewish towns, the displacement of his people, and the appropriation of a land for the Roman military use, as well as the destruction of the Jewish temple and polity. All right. It says, the Great Revolt began in the year 66 CE during the 12th year of the reign of Nero. And just like we had brought us some information on Nero Monday, Nero was a horrible homosexual bastard, man. This bastard was disgusting. Like, he was a transgender evil bastard. Like, he would, like, you know, you can only imagine what type of things he was doing towards our people with him being in rulership. And he hated the fact that the nation of Israel was against all of those things. You know what I'm saying? Like, they liked for you to, like, we had the class Monday and it was telling you how they would cut the beards off for the men. You know, the men, it was a custom of the Romans to cut their beards off so it could remind them of young men, like young teenagers and 12-year-olds. So they always cut their beards off. But you know, it's always been Israelite tradition for us not to cut our beards off, not to cut our hair off, not to be homosexuals. And you can only imagine how Nero felt knowing that we did not want to follow those type of laws and do the homosexual things that they were doing or worship the gods that they were worshiping. Because the Romans had tons of gods that they were worshiping that we did not follow or partake in. You know, we didn't do a lot of the things that they did. The people that were doing that was the Sadducees and Pharisees, just to kiss tails so they can have a seat in power with the Roman government. You know, different than your black leaders now. No different than your black politicians and your black pastors. They kiss the white man's tail, or Salaka, they kiss the oppressor's tail so they can have a seat at in his empire. You know what I'm saying? All right. It said, originated in the Roman and Jewish religious tensions, the crisis escalated due to anti-taxation prostates and attacks upon Roman citizens by the Jews. So it's no different than now. Our people were being oppressed. These Romans were taxing us. You know what I'm saying? That was one thing that was never a part of our customs. You don't tax your people. We didn't do taxations on our people. But this oppressor devil, that's what they did. That's how they get their money. That's what they do now. They put taxes on everything. You know, you go buy a stick of gum, which is, it says 35 cents, but when you get through paying it, it's 42 cents because of the taxes. They put taxes on everything. And what happens when you tax a nation of people for so long, they begin to get poor. Because that was a new thing to us, to see us getting taxed. And when they was taxing us on things you can imagine you being in your own land and somebody tax you to buy something in your own land, you're going to be outraged. You're going to be like, how you going to tax me for something in my land? You know, this is bread from my land. And what they tell you, by the Roman law, you have to pay taxes on that bread. And what did our people do? We're not paying taxes on anything. You're not going to oppress us like you do everybody else. And what happened when that happened? You know, anti-taxation protests. Our people started to protest. No different than now. We always have protests. You know, we always, got angry and spoke up against certain things like that. So our people protested against the Roman Empire for them taxing our people for things that were in our land. Like, how you going to tax us for our property, our food, our fruit, our vegetables, our animals? How dare you come into this holy city and tax us? You know what I'm saying? All right. And so not only did we protest, we started to attack Roman citizens. You know what I'm saying? You don't seen this before. Just like the scripture says, there's nothing new underneath the sun. We did the same thing back in ancient Rome, and guess what? We're doing the same thing now. Protesting, beating up American citizens, doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were rebelling against the Roman Empire, no different than we rebel against the American Empire for the injustice that is done upon us, man. For the taxations, for the legal treatment on how they do blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We did the same thing back then. You know, we got tired of being oppressed, and guess what we did? We started to fight back. We started to start riots and protests. And when we started doing things like this started to stir up the Roman Empire. It started to bring a downfall in their money. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if you got this whole level of, you have this whole nation of people that you rule over starting to rebel against you, not giving you money, not worshiping your gods. You can only imagine how much money you're going to start to lose. And that was the power of Christ back then. That's what Christ pushed for. He pushed for us to fall away from the Roman Empire. And even though he had died, our people were still separating themselves away from the Roman Empire. So with us doing that, they started to lose money. And the emperor at that time, Nero, wanted to go ahead and start a war with us, man. You know what I'm saying? This homosexual transgender bastard wanted to go ahead and start a war against the nation of Israel, man. He wanted to sack Jerusalem and take all of the gold. And you had to say you want to say that?
No.
Okay, good. He wanted to take all the gold because at this time we still had our temples. So within our temples, we still had the gold. We still had the menorahs. We still had all of our things that were considered holy to us back then. Now you can imagine how beautiful our city was back then before these heathens had confiscated and took it over. You know, we had all of our things. And, you know, I remember because Park, you was telling us about that, like, majority of the stuff was made with gold. And not no 10 karat gold, no 14 karat gold. I'm talking about gold. You can go ahead,
Come on, sir. It was gold and silver. And I was calculating. I gave up calculating. It was $1 billion. It was 5,000 more items of baskets and baths of things. They put things in like tubs to count. So it was well into the billions. Probably $1 trillion worth of gold.
Sweet, man.
Next price.
And you can, like you said, you can only imagine what these bastards wanted when they seen it. They was like, listen, this is a nation who's rich.
Okay.
And it's no different than what America does to other lands. You know what I'm saying? America, like how they did with the Native Indians. Guess what? When they came here, the so-called Native Indians, which is from the tribe of Gad, they had gold here, but they didn't even care about it. You know, they didn't look at gold like how these oppressors do. You know, to them it was just something, you know, you can make something nice out of. It was like metal you find in the rocks. You can take it and make something nice, or make a nice spear, make a knife or something like that. But to us, it wasn't nothing. But when they seen it, it was like, we got to have it. No different from what they did when they seen it in Jerusalem. They got tired of us, man. You know what I'm saying? They got tired of us complaining. No different than now. And every time we complain, just like now in America, when we complain, what do? They put their foots on our neck and they go ahead and oppress us more and more. No different than what they did to us then. They got tired of our complaining. You know, they got tired of us. Hey, y'all wrong. Y'all ain't going to continue to tax us. You know, no different than now. Hey, y'all wrong. Y'all ain't going to kill us in the streets no more. We going to stand up. Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? But they wasn't saying that in Jerusalem. They wasn't saying no Black Lives Matter in Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? We was just going against that Roman government.
That's right.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and keep reading. It says, the Roman governor, Gaius Florus, responded by plundering the Second Temple. Claiming the money was for the emperor, and the next day launching a raid on the city, arresting numerous senior Jewish figures. This prompted a wider large-scale rebellion, and the Roman military garrison of Judea was quickly overrun by the rebels, while the pro-Roman king, Herod Agrippa II, together with the Roman officials, fled Jerusalem. And we kicked their ass out of Jerusalem.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these bastards wanted to, just like we were just saying, like you were saying, because it was so much gold in there, these bastards wanted to make up an excuse on how they can get it to the temple. You know, what did they say? Hey, look, what we doing is for the emperor. It's for, you know, since y'all not paying taxes, we just going to take the gold and it's going to pay for the taxes for the emperor. Okay. No different than what they did in the Iraqi war. What did they say? This is the war on terrorism. And what did they do? Went over there, taking oil, stealing gold. Oh man, I want to say this white man, but this oppressor has always been like this. Okay. He's always been a greedy bastard. He can never not have enough, man. You know what I'm saying? Just like in the book of Obadiah, what it says, you know, even the robbers would take until they had enough. Okay. But Esau, man, he takes it all, man. You know, some robbers will kick the door in and just get what they want. Esau will kick the door in, take everything, then take the door. Like, take the door he kicked in, take the hinges, take the nails. He's taking it all. You come to the house, you don't have nothing but just a frame. Like, you ain't even got a frame. You just got nothing. Not even the bricks. Everything is going, like, what happened to my house? Like, go ahead.
I got the text if you want.
Come on, you got it. Go ahead.
Obadiah 1 and 5. If thieves came to thee and robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they have not stolen till they had enough?
Yeah, ain't it? Would they not have stolen until they had enough? But with Esau, it's never enough for him. Wow. It's never enough. No different than back then. You know, they was already taxing us. They was already taxing us during the time of us being in Jerusalem, taking our money, taxing us, oppressing us. You can imagine how they was doing it because they was living in our city too, because they had Roman soldiers in Judea, and they also had a Roman emperor or a Roman governor that was inside of our kingdom. You know what I'm saying? He was a pro-Roman king, Herod Agrippa II. You know what I'm saying? But we had got to the point where we got pissed off when they came and raided the Second Temple, and they claimed that the money was for the emperor. You know, and then they raided our city and started to arrest, so-called high elected officials, like mighty men of our people, like people we looked up to, people who spoke against them. They came in and started to arrest them. Man, we went crazy, man. Like, we went off. We got mad. You know what I'm saying? And then we started a rebellion, a large-scale rebellion. You know what I'm saying? And it says the Roman military garrison of Judea was quickly overrun by the rebels. You know what I'm saying? Like, our people, you gotta understand, man. Imagine these brothers. Like, back then we knew who we were. So imagine you got 15, 20,000 black men, knowing that they Israelites, running out these Roman soldiers. They gonna get the hell out of there. They like, oh snap, these brothers ain't playing. Okay. So we ran them out there. And not only did we run them soldiers out there, we ran out there pro-Roman king Herod Agrippa II with some of the Roman officials. They fled out of Jerusalem. All right, I'm gonna keep reading this article. And it says, as it became clear the rebellion was getting out of control, Cetus Gallus, the legate of Syria, brought in the Syrian army based of the legion Flamudia and reinforced by Azulia troops to restore order and quell the revolt. Despite initial advantages in the conquest of Jaffa, the Syrian legion was ambushed and defeated by the Jewish rebels at the Battle of Beth Horon, with 6,000 Roman massacres and the legion's Aquileia lost. So we came through and we wrecked shop. We killed 6,000 Roman soldiers. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you to go out here and do the same thing, because you got some brothers who are hitting like, you know what? We gonna start a revolt. We gonna go. No, we're just giving you the history on what our people done and what led up to the great siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD. All right. It says, during 66, the Judean provisional government was formed in Jerusalem, including former high priest Annas ben Annas, Joseph ben Gurion, and Joshua ben Gamala elected as leaders. It says Yosef ben Mataliu, Josephus was appointed the rebel commander in Galilee, and Eleazar ben Hananiah as the commander in Edom. Later in Jerusalem, an attempt by, these ain't they right names, but because these devils like to give Jewish names. But they said an attempt by Mehaim ben Yehuda, leader of the SUBCRIBE, to take control of the city failed. He was executed, and the remaining SUBCRIBE were ejected from the city. Simon, a peasant leader, was also expelled by the new government. All right, and it says the experience in assuming general Vespasian was given the task by Nero of crushing the rebellion in Judea province, and his Vespasian's son Titus was appointed the second in command. All right, so we're gonna get into some history on who Vespasian is and Titus. You know what I'm saying, to show you that these are true biblical events that happened to the nation of Israel. This is after the time of Christ. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how Judea fell. This is how we lost our land, and this is how we ended up getting pushed into different parts of the world. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go into this right here. We're gonna tell you who Vespasian is and Titus is, because this is very important for people who are tuning in class and watching and learning. This is very important for you to know. All right. This is from the book called The Roman Emperors. All right, this is Vespasian. He ruled from 69 to 79 BC. Well, AD. It says Vespasian. His name was Titus Flavius Vespasian. Was born in Nain at Rome in the north of Rome. His father, Flavius Sabinian, was a tax collector of knightly rank. His mother, Vespasian Pola, belonged to a family of the same status, but her brother became a senator. And it says, Vespasian himself, together with his elder brother Sabinius, Vespasian was a predator in 40. Sly, could you read this out for me? I don't know if you can see this or not. You can just read at the whole top of that article if you could. You can step down. You can step down. Step down. You can step it down because
Vespasian was a praetor in 40, and then gained further to Claudius' minister and freedman Narcissus. Distinguished himself in Claudius' invasion, insignia of a triumph and 2 priesthoodships, and later was Proconsul of Africa, and won some praise, for he had not used his tenure. As a result, he underwent a period of impoverishment from bankruptcy from his brother at the priesthood in the priesthood land. Imperial entourage during Nero's tour of Archaea for falling asleep while the emperor was singing.
they kicked him out because Nero was such a homosexual.
He was. He was appointed governor of Judea with the task of suppressing the first Jewish revolt known to the Jews.
Just like we was reading, Vespasian was sent down to Jerusalem to oppress us and crush us, man. You know what I'm saying? He was a diabolical devil. Put it like that. He was one of the worst devils. Like, you can only imagine. That man was like Andrew Jackson, pretty much. He had a thrill for killing blacks. He loved to do it.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he loved to do it. He wanted to do it. It was a great honor for him to go down to Jerusalem and get to kill and have free gain on blacks, wow, Latinos, and Native Indians living in Jerusalem during that time. You can go ahead.
Yes, come on, sir. The first Jewish revolt, known as the Jews in the First Roman War. Perhaps Nero preferred to have a man of only mediocre reputation, commanding such a potentially menacing number of troops.
So he wanted a masculine man. You know, he didn't want nobody such as himself. He was a well-known homo. Nobody wanted to follow Nero. Put it like that much. You know, like he was ashamed to the Roman Empire. You know, he was a transgender homosexual emperor who liked to sing. And you got these hardcore murdering generals just like this nigga right here, man. I'm gonna go to sleep while he's singing. I ain't even listening to none of this. And rather than Nero kill him, Nero was like, I got something for you. I'm gonna send you where them hardcore Israelites are in Judea and see how you like that. But that's what he wanted. He wanted to go down there because now he could really just do what he wanted to do, man.
God.
Especially when we started to, rebel against them. That's why, General Yohana always tell us the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Like, we don't go out there on the streets and pull out guns and do like the Black Panthers and start shooting and marching. Even Christ, he didn't do that at all either. We used the strength that we had from the Most High, which is these scriptures, and we battled against these devils, and that's how we defeated them. Because these devils are looking for any type of reason for them to do what they done to us during this point in time in our life. You know, once we start fighting and killing them back, it gave them the reason, like, now we can do what we want to do. It's no different than now. Like, they would be more, just like what we seen at the Capitol building, they would have loved for that to have been blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Because now they could have took up the reason, now they could have had a reason to really just do what they want to do to us. It was like, okay, they trying to protest, they trying to march the Capitol, let's just mow them down. Let's just kill them all. And it was no different than what they did right here during the siege of Vespucci when he came and tried to take over the Judea Empire, man. Like, when we started to fight back, to them, that was music to their ears. They was like, oh, they fighting back? Oh, they killing? Oh, okay, they think they some killers. Okay, let's go down there. Let's go handle business. You can go ahead, Op.
Common sir. New preferred had a man of mediocre reputation commanding such a potentially menacing number of the troops. With the exception of Jerusalem and a few outlying fortresses, on hearing though that Nero had killed himself on June 9th, he halted his preparation to storm Jerusalem.
All right, so when he found out Nero had committed suicide, and you know, one class will bring out the reason why he killed himself. This nutcase, you know what I'm saying? He killed himself. So when Vespucci found out about Nero killing himself, he halted on coming to destroy Jerusalem. He waited. He stopped. He said, "Hold on, we're not gonna sack it yet. We're not gonna destroy it right now. Let's get some things in order because now we don't have an emperor."
Right.
So now he was finna jump on that opportunity, knowing that Nero was dead, and now they're in need of a Roman emperor. And who's a better man to be the emperor? This mediocre man who Nero had chose to be, you know, over that war. You know, this man, this is the man's man. This is a Roman soldier. You know, because it's no different than now. Like, the Roman Empire prided themselves on their military and like what's the thing? Their military and their government. You know what I'm saying? And they just had that. They were proud of that. And with Vespucci being the man that he was a military man, and he knew that I can get the people. If I can get the soldiers, I can get the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can always rule over the politicians. Even with his brother being the Senate, he already knew he was in a good position. Like, I could become Roman emperor. Me being a general back then, and all of this, the people they gonna love for me to be the emperor, and and if I become the emperor, you know what time it is. You can go ahead, Up.
However, after preparation to storm Jerusalem and recognize the accusation of Galba. But however, Vespasian was now beginning to be promoted by the greatest ambitions on his own account. A vital factor in the plans of decisions was the governor of Syria, Gaius Licinius Mucianus, until recently, the two men had not been on good terms, because Mucianus resented the elevation of the Judean commander.
So he
higher status, yes, sir.
So he was mad. He was mad at the fact of how Vespasian started to rise up in the ranks quickly. You know, he got jealous. He was like, "Hold up," you know what I mean? He's like, he moving up in the ranks quick. And you know, Syria back then was kind of like a part of Judea back then.
Okay.
So you know, he's looking like, how can he come from over here and just raise up in the ranks so quick when I'm here in Syria? I've been putting in this work. I've been doing this. I've been oppressing the people. And you mean to tell me that he's going to be raised up in the ranks? So they were beefing with each other back then. You can go ahead.
Because Mucianus represented the elevation of the Judean command to a higher status,
Right.
than that of his own governorship. But after Nero's death, they made up their differences and watched the development political situation together. Galba's murder in the following January, them to begin considering the possibility of active revolt. The suicide of who's this? The suicide of in April prompted them to form active plans to that end. While for the acknowledgement, his victor Vitellius, an emperor, they secretly enlisted the support of Tiberius Julius Alexander in Egypt. Neither Alexander nor the Musonius could claim the throne for themselves. For the former, since he was a senator and a foreigner as well, and as a renegade.
So he wanted to be the Roman emperor, but he could not take that seat. You go ahead.
And the latter became lacking sons of his own. He could not form a dynasty. Vespasian, on the other hand, had two sons, Titus and Domitian. The officials, Domitian, the offspring of the elder, and the governors now agreed that he should something purpose. I can't remember. He should. Wait a minute. He should. There you go. Okay. He should be their candidate for the purple lurk people. Oh, for the purple, and you call them IUC. On July 1st, therefore, Alexander ordered the Egyptian legions to swear an oath of allegiance to Vespasian, and before the middle of the month, the armies the same their plan that was Mucinius could set out for Italy, while Vespasian would, at the time, being in the east, where he could control Egypt's grain. That's it, sir.
That's it. Wow, I appreciate that. And like I was saying, man, the only thing they wanted was to take over these different lands for their own gain, man. That's all it was always about. You know, them taking over different things in order for them to, set themselves up in a higher position. No different than when they came to, when they seen all the riches and the golds inside of Jerusalem. They wanted all of that, man. But that's just like the insight on Vespasian and who he was and how he got in this seat of being emperor. You know what I'm saying? Like they planned this out pretty good. They knew that he had an heir because he had two sons. So we had somebody that could be a holder of their empire. And like the other guys who wanted to, be the emperors, they didn't have any heirs to their kingdom. They didn't have any heirs to the seat after them. So they went ahead and elected Vespasian to become the next emperor. After Nero had committed suicide, which was probably a blessing back then to get him out of there.
That's right.
All right. All right. I'm going to go back to this other article. All right. It says, this is the other article on the siege of Jerusalem. All right, and it says the siege of Jerusalem in 70 CE was the decisive event of the First Jewish-Roman War, which we told you the reason why that First Jewish-Roman War happened was because our people were tired of being taxed. We were being taxed. We were being mistreated in our own land. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, we get treated horrible over here. Yes, we get angry. We get pissed off. But imagine you being in the holy city of Jerusalem and having these devils tax you, oppress you, like beat you and do you horrible in the streets. And it prompted us to go to war with these devils, man. And that's how the First Jewish-Roman War, in other words, was called the Jerusalem riots of '66. That's how that happened. You know what I'm saying? Like we went haywire. We started killing. All right, and it says, in which the Roman army captured the city of Jerusalem and destroyed both the city and its temple. The Roman army, led by the future emperor Titus, with Tiberius Julius Alexander as his second in command, besieged and conquered the city of Jerusalem, which had been controlled by Judean rebel factions since 66 CE, following the Jerusalem riots of 66. When the Judean provisional government was formed in Jerusalem, according to the Josephus, 1.1 million non-combatants died in Jerusalem, mainly as a result of violence and famine, but the number exceeded the entire pre-siege population of Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? So they tried to say over 1 million people died, but they saying that it exceeded that. There were way more people that died in the city of Jerusalem than what they proclaimed. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get another book, man, showing you some more history also. Well, I'm going to keep reading a little more. I'm going to wait to give you that history on that. All right. It says, many of the casualties were observant Jews from across the world, such as Babylon and Egypt, who traveled to Jerusalem. Jerusalem wanted to celebrate the yearly Passover, but instead got trapped in the chaotic siege. So this is more proof to show you that Israel was scattered all over the place. No different than what we do now. They were doing this back then. Just like how we fly from all over places of the world, we come to wherever we have been ordered to come to celebrate the Passover. So just like we would go to New York to celebrate the Passover, you had brothers coming from Haiti, Jamaica, the UK, different parts of America, Mexico. No different. We was coming to New York. We come to New York to celebrate the Passover. No different than these brothers and sisters were coming from Egypt, Babylon, all of these different lands on the outskirts that come to Jerusalem, to the holy city, to celebrate the Passover. And these wicked bastards, these devils, waited to the Passover to come and try to oversiege our city, man. That goes to show you that General Yohana is doing this right, man. Okay. Like, us celebrating the Passover, it's always been something we done in the past, man. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Just like our ancestors was doing this back then, we still continue to do these things now. But back then, man, these wicked bastards, man, knew that we were going to come and celebrate the Passover, and they waited till many Israelites from different parts of the world back then, from Babylon, from other parts, decided to come and celebrate it. So when they came into Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover, a lot of our people got stuck in Jerusalem during that chaotic siege, man, and they got trapped in. You know what I'm saying? It's like it. All right. And, you know, like I was saying, you know, our people were traveling from Babylon to Egypt. You know, that's for these weirdos who like to say that, you know, everybody can be accepted, and, you know, Israel, the Babylonians could be accepted, and, you know, we were Egyptians. No, that's not the case. It was just Israelites living in different lands, just like no different than now. You know, you got Israelites living in the UK who fly from the UK over here to celebrate the Passover. But that doesn't mean that, you know, they're really part of that land. You know, they just Israelites in these various lands. No different than us. Like, we're in America. It doesn't mean we're America. We're just Israelites in this captivity in this land. That's right. So you have brothers and sisters traveling from Babylon to Egypt to go celebrate the Passover. All right, and so when they went to go celebrate the Passover, they got trapped inside of the city of Jerusalem when Vespasian and his son Titus decided to go ahead and sack the city. So you can only imagine how many of our people were inside this land at this time. They waited to one of our most holy days out of the year to come and try to overthrow us. They waited to the Passover, where they knew a lot of our people really wasn't going to be about war. Like, that's the type of wicked bastard that we are underneath, man. Like, he waited to where he knew that our children would be there, our mothers, our fathers, the elderly. He waited to one of our most sacred feast days where he know that we would be most vulnerable, man. Like, that's the type of wicked bastard this oppressor is, man. Like, he preys on us, man. And he waited to that day to come into the city and overthrow us. Like, you can only imagine, man, how many mothers was there, children, sisters who were pregnant. Now, you think about the Passover now and how it is with the families that be there. Imagine back then how many people would come to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover, man. Now, we talking about millions of people coming to celebrate the Passover in Jerusalem, the Holy Land. And these wicked bastards, man, these Romans, these Caucasians, waited till we came and then went on ahead and overthrew the city, man. They done us horrible, man. All right, I'm going to keep reading. All right, it says, he also writes that 97,000 were enslaved. And I'm going to get you the right amount of number of people who were truly enslaved, man. They like to say 97,000 was enslaved, but it was actually more than that.
So, like, if I could,
Kind, sir.
and you said something heavy about that, because if you look in white society's history or inside of their records and stuff, they don't never always really be accurate with the numbers on purpose.
Kind.
Because they want you to think, oh, it wasn't that bad of a deal. It was, the Jewish people's situation was worse.
Right.
Look what Hitler did to the Jewish people. And so, but then you go back and you find the history, the records that they don't want you to know, or that you can only find when you go to them libraries and read the actual documentations of the soldiers and the kings and the emperors of that time and the things that they wrote and what they saw, what they witnessed. You know what I'm saying? You'll find out that Israelites for centuries, for years, like centuries upon centuries upon centuries, have been killed in the millions, man. Not just, not no 97,000, man. Shit, Salakia, the damn Gadites were murdered by the millions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, in the Atlantic slave trade alone, way more than that. You know what I'm saying? So them numbers, they like to downplay them numbers. But when you talk about the numbers of the so-called Jewish people over there, they make that number sound big.
Oh God!
How many people was it that died in the Jewish Holocaust?
6 million.
6 million. Oh, 6 million! 6 million Jewish people died. They make it big. Oh, 100,000 niggas that died. Oh, that ain't nothing.
That ain't nothing.
You mean 500,000 Native Indians? Or 500 million Native Indians? Oh, that ain't nothing. Y'all can get over that. Get over that. That's old. That's old. But 1 million Jewish people died. You gotta honor that, man.
Oh God!
And that's their history. They're continuously always trying to get us to remember the tragedies that happened with them,
right,
and to deny the tragedies that have happened to us.
Kind of And so, like, so you want to take us up?
No, I said they killed their own people.
Right. That was Caucasian on Caucasian problem.
Feels white on white crime.
Like, you want us to conglomerate white on white killing? Like, why should we remember what y'all did to each other? That's y'all sick asses. So I get Hitler putting y'all in gas tanks and like, yeah, y'all need to remember that. Wow, that's y'all. We need to remember what y'all did to us.
Oh God!
And like you said, they like to say it wasn't that many Native Indians here on the land. Like, it were tons of brothers on this land, man.
Oh God!
Millions of brothers, and they just slaughtered 77 million Native Indians. Like, good night. That's like, how could you kill so many people, man? 77 million Native Indians, 99 million so-called Negroes. And you think about it now, it makes sense because when you do the history of the abortions, you know, since the 70s to up to now, there's been, 28 million abortions since the 70s?
Come on.
28 million abortions since the 70s? So it makes sense that, good night, that they could kill 77 million Native Indians and 90 million so-called Negroes and then list for the so-called Native, for the so-called Latino brothers, you know, they probably killed up into the hundreds of millions. Because, you know, Issachar like to have children.
Yeah, right.
You know, they probably was wiping out Issachar like they was just killing for roaches, man. And you do the estimate, man, they probably don't killed over 1 billion Israelites, man. Over 500 million Israelites, man.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? They don't think that it's going to be a day that they have to pay for all of that murder and killing, man. There's a day that's coming for them, man.
God, sir.
You can't kill God's children like that and think there's not going to be a repercussion for that,
That's
man.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
If I could, and
Come on, sir.
the nerve of our enemy, our oppressor, to even think that he could live on this earth and do all of that wickedness and all them crimes against us and not have to pay for it. That's just how proud and puffed up that bastard is, man. That he's sitting here thinking that, everything's okay. America is equal. We're equal now. You got everything you need. You're good. This is a new time. This is a new place. You know, and nobody's like that anymore.
Good night. Good night.
And what we don't understand, is they're saying that for themselves, man.
Right.
That's what they're trying to teach their mind to believe, is that everything is okay now. Like Gentleman Ivan said one time before, the reason why they're so heavily into them games, gaming, is they like to escape reality. That's why they're into those virtual reality games real heavy.
Right.
Because they're trying to escape reality. That's why they like what do they call it? Them things that them white boys do. They go LARPing. Where they dress up in costumes and they go out there and pretend like they're elves and warriors and different things, and they fighting with swords and stuff. They are trying to put their mind in a fantasy, man. They're into that because they don't want to know or even think or fathom the fact that they're going to eventually have to pay for what they did to us.
Kind of what
You know
kind?
what I'm saying? Like, you got to think about it in your mind. If you slaughtered a nation of people, you know what I'm saying, eventually, even if you don't believe in, the Most High, you don't believe in God, some people call it karma or whatever. Eventually, just because how the world turns, how things work,
right?
Eventually, you have to pay for that,
right?
Eventually, you have to pay, and just the history behind, all the things that, just the history behind how many nations have had to suffer because of what they did to us. That should be enough for them to think to themselves, well, maybe we should really chill.
Right.
But they can't chill because they're the devil, man.
Damn right.
It's just in their blood to want to kill and murder us. Which is a horrible thing. However, it's good in our sight to know who our killer is or who their murderer is on this earth, because, you know what I'm saying, it teaches us who to stay away from, who to not learn from, who to be wise with dealing with. You know what I'm saying? And it's coming to the point where, whether they believe it or not, man, they ain't got no choice but to feel it when Christ get here, because he's going to thrust that sword through them, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Them churches is coming in, they burning down this place.
Ooh, we kind. So like if I could, I'd want that's so heavy. I'd want like you say, they want to be elves, and I think about it like if I was a murderous bastard like that too, I would be Frodo off Lord of the Rings every day. You know what I'm saying? Well, Bilbo Baggins.
It's just so like it. I mean, think about it, man. That's the reason why that's the reason why Santa Claus exists.
Right.
That's the reason why, oh my God, man. They make, what are they? They make movies like Alice in Wonderland, where she goes into this whole different place where there's nothing else. Because that's the fantasy of the white man. Like, he wants to escape the reality. Like us, right? We living in hell.
Right.
We wouldn't want nothing better than to get the hell up out of them ghettos.
Right.
Roach-infested apartments. You know what I'm saying? What the hell are they sad about and upset about? I'm going to tell you what they're upset and sad about. Because they are upset, they are sad, they are afraid.
Right.
They're afraid because they're conscious, they can't deal with the guilt of what their forefathers did to us.
Kind of what kind?
And so that's the reason why they sit over there and they be up into deep into the movies and, you know what I'm saying, LARPing, like what the brother was saying, and, and the fantasies and stuff, because they're trying to escape what they know their forefathers did. They know that it's, and then here's the crazy part about it, so like, if I could, the racism still, they know that the racism still exists.
Right.
Okay.
They know it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they know it's a lie when they say that it's a new era, a new time. Nobody's like the way they was back in the 50s and 60s. Man, so like, our enemy is worse now than he was before.
Kind.
You know what I'm saying? He's just a more cunning, evil bastard, man.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, if I could, that's all I want to say.
Okay.
Cause you want to bring out something? God, another one that's heavy as hell. A lot of one, and it's like you said, they know the time is coming, and it's like no different than what they did to us during the sack of Jerusalem back then. Mm-hmm. They might have destroyed us, killed us, but guess what? Their empire fell back then. Mm-hmm. Their empire fell. You know what I'm saying? They fell, and they lost everything. And now, with everything going on in the world right now, they see this empire falling, and they're shooken up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hope we get more boot camps in the future. You know what I'm saying? But we really just pray for the destruction of this empire, man.
That's right. Yeah.
So we can get out of this hellhole, man.
Okay.
You have something to bring us? Cause up. Okay. All right. And it says, the siege of the city began on April the 14th, 70 CE, 3 days before the beginning of the Passover. Good night, man. Like, these bastards, man. Like, they waited till the Passover, man, in order for them to come and destroy us, man. Like, they waited for the week. It's no different than what the fake Jew did to us when we came out of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? They look for the vulnerable and the weak of our people to attack, man. All right, it says the siege of the city began on the 14th of April, 70 CE, 3 days before the beginning of the Passover that year. The siege lasted for about 5 months. It ended in August 70 CE on Tisha B'Av, with the burning and destruction of the second temple. The Romans then entered and sacked the lower city. The Ark of Titus, celebrating the Roman sack of Jerusalem, and the temple still stands in Rome. You know what I'm saying? Like, that Ark of the Titus is a picture. It is a picture of these oppressors coming inside of our land and taking it. Like, they still have this in Rome right now. This same Ark is in Rome right now. Well, it's like a giant. It's like an ark. It's big, and it has two columns right here, and they connect together. But on the picture of it, it's a picture of these oppressors stealing and taking all of the gold and the riches out of our land, man. Wow. Like, you can only imagine what they were doing to our people when they finally were able to to get themselves inside that city, man. When they were able to get themselves inside of Jerusalem, you can only imagine what they did to us, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, the rape that they did to our women, the children, because at that point in time was the Passover. So you had families on top of families that was inside that city, man. And these bastards, being the wicked devils that they are, man, did all type of horrible things to us, man. All right, I'm gonna go into this is out of the book called From Babylon to Timbuktu, man. Good book also, man. All right, this is from the book of Babylon from Babylon to Timbuktu. This is page 84. All right.
I have one comment from Ashar.
Time.
He said each generation gets worse.
Right. Yeah, these oppressors are it was bad back then, but we knew who our enemies were. But now these oppressors in 2021 are more powerful than they have ever been inside of the earth, man.
Oh, God.
More powerful, more diabolical, more murderous, more thievish, just as wicked as they most can be. And like Joe Biden, he's trying to usher in that same reign like Nero. He wants to push the homosexuality, and just like we had that class Monday about how much of a homosexual they were back in Rome. It's no different than now. They want to push that back in order. But just like with Nero, their government failed, man. Their government started to fail because you can't have a weak leader like that. And Donald Trump was that last line of defense for Caucasian masculinity for them. You know what I'm saying? They felt like, he's the last of the real man. And that is sad to say that you believe this idiot is a real man. You know what I'm saying? Like, only you knew what he does behind closed doors. He participates in those homosexual things also. He's a child pedophile. He's no different. You know what I'm saying? Him and Dirty Joe will attend the same parties. They both get down. You know what I'm saying? They get down. Alright, so it reads, it says, in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. So just like we were saying, they put an end to the Jerusalem state in 70 AD with great slaughter. So all of those families that were inside of Jerusalem for the Passover, he slaughtered those people, man. Wow. Murdered those people, man. Like, these are the people, like you want to go out here and hold hands and love these oppressors, but these oppressors deep in the inside would love to do nothing more than to slaughter you, man. To do nothing more than to kill you and everything that is associated with you, man. Just so they could get their seat back in power, man. You know what I'm saying? What do you think that whole siege on the Capitol building was about? You thought it was because they want America to be back great? It's no, because they don't want the slaves to be in power or authority over this kingdom, man. They can't have it, and that's what they feel like what Dirty Joe is going to do. They think Dirty Joe Biden, is going to push black people at the forefront of everything. That's why you see him putting certain black Christian leaders in higher positions right now. Every time you turn around, you see he's elected a black person in this seat, a black person in that seat, another black person in that seat. Like, he knows what he's doing. He knows this is going to anger these so-called Trump supporters. He knows that. He knows it's going to push them into a fury and a point where they're just going to start to, kill and murder at a phenomenal rate. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a lot more Dylan Roofs. There's going to be a lot more of those things going on, man. A lot more killing, a lot more murdering, a lot more rape going on in the streets. Like, watch when Joe Biden started to push. Like, he hasn't been in the chair that long, and he's already pushing horrible laws, man. Wait till Billy Bob goes to a volleyball game to see his daughter, and you got Kevon come out down the court with the tights on like the girls, and he has to watch his daughter play volleyball with him. He's gonna lose his script, man. He's gonna lose it. What the H is that going on? What is that playing out there? What the? Let's get out of here. You gotta take your kids and get them out of there, because you got this 6'3" brother playing volleyball with your daughter with tights on like the girls in the volleyball. That is a disgusting thing, man.
Crazy.
Just like that video with the article that we brought out with their brother who runs track with the women.
So like, if I could,
that boy ugly. So like,
if I could, if I'm trying to make sure I know that this is the right one. We take about the same one.
Colonel.
This is about the brother who was like, he ranked a real terrible number when he was running with the men.
Colonel.
He was running track with the men, but he ended up changing himself, becoming a transgender.
Right.
He went and joined the females league and became number one, because of course he's a man, he's gonna run faster, he's gonna be a little bit stronger, but now he's number one in the women's league. Right. So it's the same one.
Colonel.
That's what Biden is pushing.
Right. Good night. Like Biden knows how to piss off Esau. Like, he knows how to make these Republican Edomites pissed off, these racists. He was like, I know how to get them mad. He's like, what do you do? Make transgender legal. Let these, and it's all by design, man. Like, everything going on right now is by design. These oppressors plan things in advance. Okay. You know what I'm saying? They want the great siege of Jerusalem again, but they just want it inside of the ghettos now. They want it inside of the reservations They want it on the border. They want it all over again. But you know what I'm saying? They have got wise with it. So what did they do? They had Bush come in, F up everything, mess up everything. Then you put Barack Obama in there, who's supposed to be the savior. He gets in the chair, and now he legalizes homosexuality.
Wow.
And with black people thinking he's a black man and he's legalizing homosexual, guess who's gonna believe it's okay to be gay now? More black people. So now you got more black people are gay, and you know they pushing for it. Now the gay movement is out of control. So you remove Barack Obama, then you put Trump in there to make everybody angry till they get to a point where they're like, listen, we'll take anything as long as it's not Trump. So now you take Joe Biden, and he's on a weird agenda. He's like, you know what? I'm letting whoever, a horse can come up here and be vice president for all I care. You're gonna have transgender horses in
So like the next president gonna be a damn transgender chimpanzee, boy.
Good night. Oh, Mighty Joe Young gonna be Mighty Ho Young. Damn monkey don't got a sex change. Like damn.
Gay lions and everything, boy.
My man said he said what the gay horse? He said what the gay horses eat? This nigga said hey. I said that boy stupid, man. Like that's what's coming next, man. That's what we got next, man. Joe Biden, like these devils set this thing up good, man. Like they know how to prompt their war, man. They know how to push it. You know, no different than they was taxing our people in Jerusalem. They knew it was going to anger the people until a point where we wanted to go to war. And now what he's going to do now is he's going to anger these Republicans, all these right-wing people, into a point where they just going to start taking to the streets and just murdering. The Capitol building was just the beginning. That's right. I'm telling you, man, wait till you start seeing all of these sports accepting that transgender movement in there. Man, they not, man, listen, man, you're going to have, watch when Earl see his daughter get blew out of the water at another track meeting by another black homosexual who wants to classify, he's gonna murder him. You're gonna read on the news, black transgender student was shot dead on the track field for beating Earl's daughter in a sprint. You know, because you know that's all they got. That's all they got. They don't have the style, they don't have the taste, they don't have the flavor. So you know they like to come to the sports and you know see their little baby girl go out there and run the track. Even if she loses, you know, it still feels good to see his daughter out there competing with other girls. But now you got to go out there and you got to see a brother who's classifying himself as a woman go out there and play on the field or run track and everything. Like these oppressors know how to stir up an economy, man. They know how to get a war prompt and get it started. And that's what they're trying to do now, man. They trying to start another war, but the Most High has things taking a turn to another way, man. Okay. He's making it now to where America ain't gonna be able to go to war with us anymore. Like the tensions with all of these other nations, like China, Russia. You know, they were just talking about like they've been saying it since 1969 in the ISUPK that the war is going to be between America and Russia, and they just brought out an article saying that they're afraid that nuclear war can start with Russia and China. You know what I'm saying? All right, could you get that article for me too? Not that article, but that Bible verse from earlier. That Matthew's. But I'm gonna read the rest of this. Matthew's 24:16. I'm gonna read the rest of this article right quick. All right. It says in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem in 70 AD. General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter during the period of the military governance of Palestine. Many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. So, man, they committed all type of atrocities and outrages. I mean, what they were doing to us, it was outrageous. Like, you can only imagine, man, the rape, the brutality, the murder. You know, they already had starved us out in that land. They starved us out. Like, I'm going to read that too and show you how they starved us out, man, inside of that city, man, for those months. Where they wasn't letting any food come inside the city. And they had got to the point where we started to eat our children We started to eat our leather. You know what I'm saying? Like the leather boots we had, we started to eat stuff like that, man. You know, they started us out that bad. Brothers were taking out their leather garments, soaking it in water until it got back that texture of like regular leather and was eating it to survive. And a lot of our people had even went to the point where they started to eat their children, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then when they finally got inside the city, man, oh my goodness, man, like that, man, it makes sense now why we understand why the Most High is going to show no mercy upon Esau, man. The Most High has not forgotten those things that they have done to us. And nobody has even paid for those things. What they did to us back in the siege of Jerusalem, nobody paid for those crimes, man.
That's right.
Nobody went to prison. Nobody went to jail for that. Guess what happened? They got tucked away for 1,000 years, and guess what? They rose back up to power, and they kept on and continued to do the same things that they have done to us for years all over again. More brutality, more rape, more robbery, and this time they took it even a step farther. This time they started the transatlantic slave trade and murdered millions of us, man. 99 million so-called African Americans, Haitians, and Jamaicans, man. 77 million Native Indians, man. And they said the toll for the so-called Latino brothers in them islands was like 140 million.
Wow.
Almost 200 million. I read in an article one time about between 140 million to 200 million. Like, come on, man. Who murders that amount of people, man?
Wow. It's crazy.
And like I don't want to say it, now they looking for other outlets to get that off their mind. Now they trying to erase it from the history books. Now they don't want their children to grow up and see the type of wicked bastards they were, because now everybody's starting to adapt to our culture. Like now their children are starting to show compassion towards us. They want to be like the rappers. You know, they want to get the tattoos on their face. And this right here, this happened I think this was last week. I was inside of a Benjamite restaurant getting some food, and I had my shield showing.
Oh God.
But this oppressor came in there too, but he was dressed like Jake. And he had a shield on, but you know he's you know it's crazy because a lot of the gangs allow Caucasians inside of their gangs. So I find that crazy. Like you allow a Caucasian inside of a black gang, who is he beefing with? Black people. Right. He's able to hate black people. He's a racist, and they stupid enough not to even know it. Like this white guy who's inside y'all gang, he's a racist. He hates black people. You letting him flourish. You letting him do what he feels. Sleep with your women, kill your brothers, and then you support them. You know what I'm saying? So this oppressor seen me in there. He was like, "Hey, bro, hey, look, man, I got a star on too, man." And I crushed his whole where I said, "Nah, man, I'm an Israelite. I don't gang bang." He okay. He said, "Oh, you're an Israelite?" Yeah, I'm an Israelite. Yeah, I'm an Israelite. Crushed his whole little world. Everything. It was quiet in the restaurant. It was just me and him waiting on our food, and it was so quiet you can hear a pin drop. Like, cause he knew then. Okay, he don't do what we do. Like he's one of them guys who's downtown with the other guys saying that I'm the devil. You are the devil. God. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, that's another thing. I don't. So I'm just sidetracking. I don't get that either. How brothers allow Caucasians inside their gangs to kill their brothers. Like, you're creating him. He's a racist. Y'all don't get it? You know what I'm saying? What do you call a cop that kills a black man? Oh, he's a racist. So what do you call a white gang member who kills black people? He's a racist.
If I could, it never made sense to me at all. I went to school, man, with brothers who claimed that they was in gangs and stuff, and they'd always have this one scruffy trailer park trash white boy, right, that they'd have in the group, and he wearing bandanas, and he think he black, and he's shooting basketball with him and everything, and he's saying the word nigga in front of them, and nobody is taking offense or mad about it. That's how much we love our oppressors. Crazy. Yeah, that's how much we love our oppressors, because we allow them to be right amongst us. Wow. and they don't want us around them. They want us out of their communities. You see how they gentrify the hell out of our neighborhoods. Right. They're moving us up out of there so they can move themselves in there. But we are still always accepting them into our world. But we got to stop doing that, man.
Kind of kind.
Gotta stop letting these damn devils in our world, man.
Oh, God. Good night. Man, right, that's heavy as hell out of one.
Right.
That's horrible. Like
There you go.
Like you allow an oppressor in your gang to come in and murder your people, man. You know what I'm saying? It's horrible, man. All right, Slacker. I'm gonna continue reading. I'm gonna read that again. It says. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. You know what I'm saying? So the people that were inside of Jerusalem during that time of the Passover, like when they finally was able to seize Jerusalem and take it over, man, they did horrible things to our people, to those elderly women that were inside those cities, to those elderly men, to those children that were inside of that city that were coming to celebrate the Passover. Because, you know, these are some wicked bastards, man. You're not going to get this information in the Christian church, man. You're only going to get this information right here in this school, man. We're going to tell you about the crimes that were committed against our people in the ancient times, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, these bastards came inside of Jerusalem, man, and just did all type of outrages towards our people, man. They started this out and then went ahead and just, you know, did God knows what to our people, man. All right, and it says, during that period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were filled with black Jewish slaves, because that's what happened. You know, after they came into the city and conquered it, you know, they took whoever they didn't want to kill and rape, and whoever was alive, they took us and put us into slavery. Like, it wasn't just like I don't want to say it, they like to put a little number on how many people, you know, went into slavery. Like they said on one article it was 95,000, but like this brother was saying, it was over 1 million. So, you know, if it's over 1 million, we might be talking about 5 million, 6 million, 7 million, 10 million. 15 million, but it was over 1 million people. That's not even counting like the people that died inside of that place. You know what I'm saying? And then like over 1 million of our people fled into Africa. Right. So you had millions of us going to slavery, and then you had millions of us running to Africa to blend in with the other Africans, so we wouldn't be slaughtered and done dirty like how they did all the other times. And this is also biblical. Like with this right here, what happened is also in the Bible. If you got that scripture, you can read that.
Oh, God, sir. Matthew 24, start chapter 15. When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whosoever readeth, let him understand. Verse 16. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
And that's what we were supposed to do, because Daniel spoke about this, you know, everything that was going to come into the city of Jerusalem during the time of our fall. And when you started to see these things happen, you were supposed to run into the mountains to get away. And where those mountains located at? These mountains were right there out on the cities of Jerusalem, which brought us into Africa. You were supposed to run to higher ground to get away from all of these things, these atrocities and all of these crimes that were going on inside of the land. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was in the Bible for us to do. We were supposed to flee and get away. And out of all those people who did that, over 1 million of us did get away and flee into the mountains. That's anything else on that?
We'll just talk about some little other things, but preparations that people did and didn't do.
Let me see. I think I got that in my. Yeah, you can go ahead. We can read 17.
Count God, sir. Let Matthew 24:17. Let him which is on the housetop not come down and take anything out of his house.
Yeah, get the hell out of there, man. That's what we were supposed to do, man. When this siege happened in Jerusalem back then, you weren't supposed to be trying to go back in the house and get your picture of your grandma and your granddaddy and, oh man, I gotta get my high school photo. Like, nah, man, you were supposed to leave and get out of there, man. And over 1 million of us did. Over 1 million of us didn't even worry about anything. We just dropped everything and we fled into those mountains to get away from the persecution that was happening to us by the hands of the Romans. You know what I'm saying? Like, these bastards came and attacked us on the Passover, man. Did us dirty on the Passover, man. Waited till we were vulnerable. Waited till our mothers was there, our fathers was there, our children were there, and decided to go ahead and just put the battle on, man. This is the type of strategy that these devils have, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, let me see what else is on that. All right, I'm gonna go back into this article again. I'm gonna read the rest of this article. All right, and it says, the Romans entered and sacked the lower city. The ISUPK celebrating the Roman sack of Jerusalem and the temple still stands in Rome. The conquest of the city was completed on approximately the 8th of September 70 CE. You know what I'm saying? So in August, after August, man, they finally got a hold of us, man, and they took it over, man. They took it over, man, and they came in, destroyed us, killed us, you know, raped our women, and did God knows what, man. All right, I'm gonna show you a little bit of this stuff also. All right, this is like an insight on the siege and how it happened. All right, it says, despite early success in repelling the Roman sieges, the Zealots fought amongst themselves, and they lacked proper leadership. Now, this is us. This is inside of Jerusalem, inside of the walls. Now, we were arguing with each other amongst inside that city. Even though we knew the Romans wanted to kill us, we were battling amongst each other inside the cities, man.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? We were arguing with each other, and we were lacking in proper leadership. You know what I'm saying? That's why we trade in the ISUPK underneath Commanding General Yohana, because we have proper leadership. You know what I'm saying? But right here during this time, during the siege, man, we had improper leadership. So you had brothers in Jerusalem, even though the city was circled with Roman soldiers, still fighting. No different than how we are now. Nah, man, no, I ain't gonna listen to him. No, I ain't gonna listen to him. I ain't about to follow him. Well, do what you gonna do. So now we arguing with each other, fighting with each other, and guess what? Now we just it's getting worse. Now people starving. Now people dying. Now you got women eating the kids, eating their children. You got brothers eating they leather boots and taking their garments off and soaking them in water to eat because we were lacking in improper leadership, man.
Wow.
All right, and it says the Zealots fought amongst themselves and they lacked proper leadership, resulting in poor discipline, training, and preparation for the battles that were to follow. And that's why, man, this right here is this. I'm just sidetracking, but this is why it's so important, man, for us here inside of the ISUPK, man, to be disciplined. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why we are so disciplined. Like, everybody sees that with this school, and they say one thing about this school, man. They say y'all have proper leadership and y'all have excellent discipline inside of y'all school, because just like right here, it's telling you what happens when you lack in leadership and you have poor discipline. Everything falls apart, man. And that's what happened inside of Jerusalem, man. You had brothers who had improper leadership and poor discipline and training and preparation, and now we were vulnerable. You know, now we were falling victim to whatever the Romans were trying to do. Now when we go to war, we not even on the same part. We ain't even on the same mind frame, and now we getting destroyed. You know, now you got brothers like, I ain't gonna follow him, I'm gonna follow him, and they go fight, they get beat. Then you got brothers over here, well, you know, that ain't us. We're going to go over here and fight, and then we get beat. It's no different than how they do it amongst us with gangs. They know in order for you to take over the black community, you have to divide and conquer. You know what I'm saying? And they use that same strategy now on us today. You got Bloods right here, you got Crips right here, but I could use them to fight against each other, and when it's time for me to infiltrate and come and destroy them, they're going to be beefing with each other. And guess what? It's going to be more easier. And this is proof of that right here in this article, man. And this history right here, man, that happened to blacks, man. All right. And it says, at one point, they destroyed the food stocks in the city. Good night, man. Brothers destroyed their own food in the city, man. It said, at one point, they destroyed the food stocks in the city. A drastic measure, though, to have been undertaken perhaps in order to enlist a merciful God's invention on behalf of the besieged Jews, or as a stratagem to make the defenders more desperate, supposing that was necessary in order to repel the Roman army. Like, they did it so we could be more desperate to fight. Like, come on, man. Like, who would they? It says Titus began his siege a few days before Passover on April 14, surrounding the city with 3 legions on the western side and a 4th on the Mount of Olives to the east. If the reference in his Jewish war at 6/421 is to Titus' siege, though difficulties exist with its in preparation, then at the time, according to the Josephus, Jerusalem was thronged with many people who had come to celebrate the Passover. Just like we said,
Wow.
it was just like no different than how we do now. Like, you had brothers coming from all over that part of the land back then. Brothers from Syria, Jerusalem, Babylon, Spain, Rome. Everybody was coming to celebrate the Passover. So the city was full with families, women, children, mothers, fathers. You know, everybody had came to celebrate the Passover, man. And this bastard, this devil, man, prayed on that. He looked for that and said, you know what? This is the best time to strike the city, when they have their children with them, when they have their wives with them, when they have their mothers, their fathers with them, when they're at their weakest point. This is the best time to attack them. And then they had all of us, you know, they saying it was over 1 million people who fled into Africa. So you can only imagine how many people were inside of this city during the Passover in Jerusalem. Like, that's like if we had our city right now. Do you know how many blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans would go to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover? Just like during the time of Christ, it was so packed, they didn't even have a place to stay.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, during the time of Christ, when he was born, they went to celebrate the Passover, but the Passover was so packed that they didn't even have any more rooms. Like, they had to stay in the damn manger. You know what I'm saying? Because that has always been a part of our tradition, man. Like, and we still hold on to that tradition now here in the ISUPK. We had that Passover, and that Passover is coming up, and it's going to be packed again. You know what I mean? It's going to be glorious in the eyes of the Most High, man. All right. It says, the thrust of the siege began at the west at the third wall, north of the Jaffa Gate. By May, this was breached, and the second wall was also taken shortly after, leaving the defenders in possession of the temple in the upper and lower city. The Jewish defenders were split into factions. John the Galatian's group murdered another faction leader, Eleazar ben Simon, whose men were entrenched in the four counts of the temple. The enemies between John of Galilee and Simon Gora were prepared over only when the Roman siege engineers began to erect ramparts. So we were, even though all of this was going on, we still was fighting amongst each other, man. Like, we were inside of the city fighting and killing each other while the Romans are trying to get inside, fight and kill us, man. Like, that is the problem when you have improper leadership.
Oh, God.
And we see that with these fake Israelites. Guess what you see with the fake Israelites? Them fighting and trying to kill each other. Because they lack in improper leadership, man. All right. And it says that Titus had a wall built to girdle the city in order to starve out the population more effectively. After several failed attempts to breach or scale the walls of the fortress of Antonia, the Romans finally launched the secret attack. So what they did was, these Romans, these wicked bastards, man, they starved our people out, man. They starved out the children, the mothers, the fathers, you know, the pregnant women, you know, who needed food in order to breastfeed their young. These bastards went us too far to starve us out. You know, this is what they don't teach you, man. This is why they don't want you to know your history. Because when you look back and you find out who we are, you find out that the slave trade wasn't the only time that these oppressors came up against us and did horrible massacres to our people, man. Like, the slave trade was just another time in our history where these oppressors came against us and destroyed our people. You know, they have always been an enemy with our people, man, starving our people out, murdering and killing our people, man. They have always done this to us. And this is another time in history where they did the same thing to us. because we are the biblical Israelites. We are those people.
That's right.
And these oppressors were the Romans back then. These Edomites, these Caucasians, they were the Romans back then. And what they did to us was they trapped us in our city and starved us out, man. Starved us out. No food, no water. You know, you can only imagine how horrible it was, man. You know, you got families in there trying to celebrate the day of the Lord, and you can't even get food because we done been in here for months getting starved out. Starved out, man. All right, it says, when the Romans reached Antioch, they tried to destroy the wall which protected it. They removed 4 stones only, but during the night the wall collapsed. John had used his strategy before and had undermined their banks, that the ground that gave away and the wall fell down suddenly. Titus had raised banks beside the courts of the temple on the northwest corner of the north side on the west side. Jews then attacked the Romans on the east near Mount Olives, but Titus drove them back to the valley of Zelotes and set them northwest colony on fire. Romans set on fire the next one. Jews wanted to burn. Jews also trapped some Roman soldiers when they wanted to climb over the wall. They have burned wood under the wall when the Romans were trapped on it. So, you know, you had these Roman soldiers trying to climb over our walls. So what our brothers was doing was they set fire. So when they climbed over the wall, they fell right into the damn fire. As soon as they jumped over the wall, you fell right into a fire. You know, you can only imagine, man, like this was real war back then, man. You know, but back then the only thing different than now was we knew who our enemy was, man.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? But you still had some brothers back then even who felt like, you know, they should be in leadership, or, you know, pretty much like these break-off camps, man. You got these brothers who feel like, you know, they should be the leader of their own camp, and you see what type of problems it caused our people back then. It caused our people to be at war with each other. You know, you got this brother who thinks he's the leader, and then you got this brother who thinks he's the leader, and now you got these people bumping heads and colliding. You know what I'm saying? So it says, Jews also trapped some Roman soldiers when they wanted to climb over the wall. They had burned wood under the wall when the Romans were trapped on it. Meanwhile, in the city, Jews starved, and some ate their own children. She slew her son, then roasted him and ate the one half of him and kept the other half by her concealed. God dang, good night, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, man. That's horrible, man. Like, woman she literally cooked her own son, man.
Wow.
Like, that's how horrible it was, man. Like, the child already had died, and rather than her die, she cooked her own kid, man. Like, these are the people who rule over us now today, man. These are their children. These Romans, their children are the people who rule over us and oppress us, man. Like, we should never forget about these things, this history. This is black history right here, man. Y'all want to talk about the first great invention of this and that? No, this is black history, man. The siege of Jerusalem, the transatlantic slave trade, the Trail of Tears, man. The Trail of Tears, man. That's black history, man. You know what I'm saying? The Mexican Revolution. That's true black history, man, on how horrible these devils were to us, man. This is the history we need to remember so we don't allow it to repeat itself again, man. So we can learn how to serve the Most High correctly and do what he tells us to do, so we don't have to live out these same events over and over and over again, man. You know what I'm saying? Like man, these devils, man, they got a day to pay for, man.
That's right.
Starved us out, man, to the point where sisters were eating their own children, man. Because you got to understand something. You got these sisters by themselves in the city because all the men have to go to war. So you got all of these men at war for what? You can't leave. Where you going to go to? You can't leave the wall. You can't leave the wall to go check on your family. You have to stay on the wall. So imagine you being a brother. You've been stuck on that wall for a month and a half. You ain't heard that from your family. And then when you get a chance to go back to the family, your kid's gone. Your kid's dead. Your wife dead. They don't got starved out just to find out somebody ate your kids, man. Like, that's what these oppressors did to us, man. That's why the Most High said he's not going to show no mercy on Esau, right, man. He doesn't deserve mercy, man. A man that starves out people to the point where they have to eat their children, man, have to eat their clothes. You know what I'm saying? And you think they need mercy? They don't deserve mercy, man. And after all of that, you would think they would have some type of compassion for blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. You would think they would show some type of mercy on us, knowing that they know our history. Like, the Pope knows our history. The Pope knows who we are. He knows who we are, man. You would think he would speak up and say, you know what, let's not, destroy and kill these blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians anymore. We don't done horrible to them back in the past. We did start the Roman slave. We did start the transatlantic slave trade, because if they don't never tell you this, but those people who started the transatlantic slave trade were Christians and Jewish people. What were they pushing? What religion were they pushing? They were pushing Christianity. And where did Christianity come from? It came from the Roman Empire. You know what I'm saying? So the Pope was sent Christopher Columbus out to find all of these different lands. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was from the Pope. The Pope was the one that told him to go out there and push Christianity on people. You know what I'm saying? When Christopher Columbus came, guess who we had with him? He had so-called religious people with him who was trying to teach Christianity on our people, because they knew Christianity, with any type of religion of another nation, will force a people to be in slavery, man. Like, if you serve another nation's God, you will worship those people. And that's what they knew back then, man. All right, I'm going to keep reading. It says, after Jewish allies killed a number of Roman soldiers, Titus sent Josephus, the Jewish historian, to negotiate with the defenders. This ended the Jews wounding the negotiator with the arrow, and another sally was launched shortly after. Titus was almost captured during the sudden attack, but escaped. Like, we almost had Titus, because that's who we really wanted. We wanted it. We knew if we would have got Titus, that war would have been over. His father Vespasian wouldn't even fought anymore. If we would have snatched his son up, they would have negotiated with us, but only for a short period of time, because they're the devil the Bible speaks of. Once they would have got what they wanted, they would have still continued to do the siege. All right, it says, overlooking the temple compound, the fortress provided a perfect point from which to attack the temple itself. Battering rams made little progress, but the fighting itself eventually set the walls on fire. A Roman soldier threw a burning stick onto the temple's wall, destroying the temple. On the temple's wall, destroying the temple was not among Titus' goals, possibly due to a large part of the massive expansions done by Herod the Great mere decades earlier. Titus had wanted to seize it and transform it into a temple dedicated to the Roman emperor and the Roman pantheon. So these bastards didn't really want to destroy the temples. They wanted to keep the temples because they were glorious. They wanted to keep it so they could worship their own gods. They really wanted to take over that city because that city was beautiful. It had riches in it. It had golds and it had history. And they wanted to take it over so they could now possess all of that. All right. It says, however, the fire spread quickly and was soon out of control. The temple was captured and destroyed on 9/10, sometime in August 70 AD. And the flames spread into the residential sections of the city. Josephus described the scene. It says that the legions charged, and neither prostration nor threat could check their impetuosity. Passion alone was in command. Crowded together around the entrance, many people were trampled by their friends. Many fell among the still hot and smoking ruins on the colonnades and died as miserable as the defeated. So these bastards were so bloodthirsty that they just, once they got into the city, they started to trample over each other. And the walls that were on fire, because our people were setting the walls on fire because these bastards were jumping over the wall, these stones were still hot. So these devils were trying to get in so much to where they were falling onto the hot rocks and getting stepped on at the same time. Because they were that bloodthirsty and that retarded also at the same time. You barge in, you fall, Ain't nobody helping you to get up. They stepping on you, and then you on top of hot rocks. Now you just getting crushed and getting set on fire at the same time.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? They pretty much treating you like a seared hamburger. You know, when they put the little metal thing and, you know, that's what they was doing to each other trying to get inside the city, man. All right, and it says, as they neared the sanctuary, they pretended not to even hear Caesar's commands and urged the man in front to throw in more fire bands. The partisans were no longer in a position to help. Everywhere was slaughter and flight. Most of the victims were peaceful citizens, weak and unarmed. They were butchered wherever they were caught. So the people that they were killing, like I was saying, these were weak people, man. And who are the weak and feeble of our people? The women, the children, the older mothers, the older fathers, the grandparents. Like these bastards went in and started slaughtering those people, man. You know what I'm saying? Just like these oppressors, man. A bunch of wicked bastards, man. So wicked. They love to feed on the poor and the weak and the feeble, man. And they butchered our people, man. So they were like butchering, like cutting heads off, arms off. You know, like, come on, man. All right. It says, round the altar, the heaps of the corpse grew higher and higher, while down the sanctuary steps poured a river of blood, and the bodies of those killed at the top slithered to the bottom. So they even went inside the temple, man, and just started killing our people at the altar, man. Like, and they said the dead bodies just got to a point where they grew higher and higher, and they said it was a river of blood, man. Like, you walking in blood pretty much, because these bastards was just killing at a phenomenal rate. They didn't even let anybody survive. They didn't even listen to Caesar. Like Julius Caesar, like not Julius Caesar, but Caesar was telling them, hey, don't kill everybody, just let everybody live. They still was just killing at a phenomenal rate, man. It says, Titus in any capability for the destruction of the temple, but this may merely reflect his desire to procure favor with the Flavian dynasty. The Roman legions quickly crushed the remaining Jewish resistance. Some of the remaining Jews escaped through hidden tunnels and sewers, while others made a final stand in the upper city. The defense halted the Roman advances, as they had to construct siege towers to assail the remaining Jews. It says, Herod's palace fell on September the 7th, and the city was completely under Roman control by September the 8th. The Romans continued to pursue those who had fled the city, man. All right. All right. Okay. It says they claimed that 1 million people were killed during the siege, on which a majority were Jews. It says, to this celebration of the Passover, which he uses as a rationale for the vast number of people presented among the death toll, the revolt had not deterred pilgrims from the Jewish diaspora communities from trekking to Jerusalem to visit the temple at the Passover, and a large number became trapped in the city and perished during the siege. Armed rebels as well as frail citizens were put to death. All of Jerusalem remaining citizens became Roman prisoners after the Romans killed the armed and elder people. They said 97,000 were enslaved. And just like I don't want to say, they always try to give a low number of people. But in all actuality, man, it was over 1 million people who were enslaved, man. Over millions of our people. You know what I'm saying? Because that city was full of our people coming to celebrate the Passover. They talking about some 97,000, man. These some wicked bastards, man. All right, and it says all of Jerusalem's remaining citizens became Roman prisoners after the Romans killed the armed and elder people. 97,000 were enslaved. They said of the 97,000 were forced to become gladiators and eventually expired in the arenas. You know, because those gladiators that they had coming into the Roman arenas to fight were our people. No different than now. You know, what do we call the gladiators now? We call them basketball players, football players, UFC fighters. You know what I'm saying? You take the slaves and you let them be your entertainment. All right. It says those under the age of 17 were sold into servitude. It says the death toll assumptions were rejected as impossible by Seth Skurrit in 1984. You know, so this wicked bastard, this fake Jew, he didn't want to accept the fact in 1984 that so many millions of so-called black Jews died, because they knew that this was us. He just didn't want to accept the fact that so many of us was killed, man. It says Titus and his soldiers celebrated victory upon the return to Rome by parading the menorah and the table of bread of God's presence through the streets. Up until parading, these items had only ever been seen by the high priest of the temple.
Wow.
This event was memorized in the Ark of Titus. Some 700 Judean prisoners were paraded through the streets of Rome in chains during the triumph among of them who was sentenced to life in prison, and Simeon who was executed. It says many Jews fled around the areas of the Mediterranean, which is a lie. They didn't fled into the Mediterranean; they fled into Africa. Because why would you fled into the Mediterranean when Rome and Spain is right there?
That's right.
Like, that's stupid as hell. Why you gonna leave from Jerusalem and cut through the Mediterranean? Come on, man. Like, that's how stupid they think we are. But you know, that's it with the class. I'm gonna end the class. I'm gonna call up Dr. Parker.
Sir. Get that priest and prophet in hand for that powerful class. We're ISUPK security announcements. We're the ISUPK started off 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for the brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes to the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves with the world. If they need transportation for the teacher, we'll arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to the brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8 and 10, means tenth in Hebrew and Ma'ashra. We're going to go over Hebrew tomorrow with Officer Kazak Shapar. 10% of every penny of any increase the Most High gives you. Give to the Treasury Department or teacher, priest fund. Free will offering for the priests. It's not mandatory, whatever amount you would like to give. To upholy convocations. We have, of course, Purim coming up. The 14th day to 15th day of the 12th month. Thursday, February 25th. Friday, February 26, 2021, Esther 9, 20, and 30, 20 through 31. Of course, we have the Passover in Houston, Texas. Get with your camp leader for the details of the start of the, I believe it's on the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, and Thursday in Houston, April in Houston, Texas. The Passover, 14th day, the 4th month, Thursday, April 24th. Is the actual Passover 2020 at sundown. Exodus 12:1-51, Leviticus 23:4 and 5, 1 Corinthians 5:7 and 8, and 2 Corinthians 30 and 17. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Barak Atah to all the brothers. Yahweh Shemai Al Atah Bashem Yahushai to all the sisters. For that we say Shalom.